I am a program and business manager at BøthOfUs, and today I'm going to be taking you through how Trello works, why we use it, and how we can set it up for you and your organization so your cooperation with both of us will be very smooth. On the agenda today, there's just a couple of simple things. I will explain to you the logic behind why we use Trello, and then I will take you through a step-by-step of how to set up your own Trello account and how will that work in collaboration with us. So without further ado, let's get into it. So firstly, I want to explain to you what is Trello and what is first of all, the logic behind why we use Trello. So working with Trello is based on a business management and task management process called the Scrum process. And I'm quickly going to explain the Scrum process to you to kind of give a grasp of why we use Trello the way that we do. So here is a visualization of the Scrum process, and I will quickly take you through it. So when a team wants to do something what we call a sprint, which is do a set of tasks in a very fast, specific given time, we can use something called the Scrum process. The Scrum process helps organize tasks, assign them to team members, and make sure that they are performed in the given time period that they need to be done. So let's go through it. First of all, we have something called the product backlog. Now, the product backlog is just a list of tasks that any organization has to do at any given time. Now, a product backlog will always continue to have more and more tasks, and this is just a list of what needs to be done. However, when we want to perform a sprint, so for example, get a lot of these tasks done, the first step is to have a sprint planning meeting. And what that means is the team and the product owner, well, the product owner in this case being a manager, get together and decide what tasks they want to perform and what is the priority of those tasks. And this is very important. So when they start compiling a list, list item number one will be the first priority and has to get done first. Then there will be 2, 3, 4, etc. But this sets out the priority order of what needs to be done during the sprint. The sprint backlog is then just the list, the agreed upon list by the team and the product owner of what will be done during the sprint. So this sets out very clear objectives for the team and also assigns to each team member what tasks have to be done. Then we enter the sprint. Now the sprint can take between 1 to 4 weeks, and this is again decided by the team. What happens on a daily basis during the time of the sprint is something called a daily scrum. And the reason, for example, we use the daily scrum is that we have a chance for everybody to reevaluate what they have done during the last 24 hours of the working day, and if anybody is stuck, to help them. So it's the responsibility of the Scrum Master to keep on top of the sprint backlog and make sure everybody is doing their tasks and nobody is stuck. So during these daily Scrum meetings, you have an evaluation amongst your team members of how are tasks being performed, does anybody need any help? Then, once the sprint has been complete, you have the finished work part. Now, this is a very critical part also of evaluation of once the sprint has been complete, looking at the task by task, how was each task done, and what could be done better. And furthermore, not only just about the task, but it's also about being more retrospective about the team. How did the team perform? How was the communication? How was the working environment? And what can be improved there to make sure that future sprints can go even more smoothly? So in sum, it is a process where you evaluate what tasks need to be done, you assign them, the Scrum Master keeps track of is everybody doing well and do they need help? And at the end of a sprint session, then there is also an evaluation of what could be done better. Now you might be thinking, how will this then be able to manifest in a team in an organized manner? And this is where we bring in Trello. And Trello is an online platform that allows you to create different types of lists and keep you track of the process itself. So without further ado, now I will show you Trello. Firstly, I will show you my personal Trello board that I am working on currently with the director of BøthOfUs, Kay, as he is my, so to say, product owner and Scrum Master, and he keeps on top of what I do, assigns me my tasks, and I perform them on a weekly basis. After I just show you that, then I will show you how you create your own Trello account and how to share it and how to get it going in practice. So let's go into here, and I will show you just a completed Trello board. So here we see a completed Trello board that I am currently working on. The most four important categories you need to worry about and you need to make concern to is the to-do list, in progress, blocked, and done. And this very much also replicates the Scrum process, being, if we remember, the product backlog. So also what to do is what is to be done in this given sprint, what's happening when it's in progress, which goes into this category. When it is done, then it moves into this fourth category. And then we also have blocked, which also is a part of the daily Scrum check. So for example, some of these projects that I have here are not able to be complete right now because either they require further approval or checking by the Scrum Master that everything is going okay. So it's kind of an intermediate stage between in progress and done. So this is the basics of what your Trello board would look like, but I will take you through step by step about how it works. And we'll start first of all by creating your own Trello account. So without further ado, let's get started. So I will now be using an email that I have just created for the purpose of this video, just a fake one just to get started. So just first of all, go into Google, Safari, whatever your search engine is, and create a Trello account. And this one, if you look out for this icon, that's the official Trello website. So once we go here, then will come up that you have to input a certain email. So here you would put your email. Now for this video, I have just come up with this email. So test hannah5230@gmail.com. Right. So from here, I proceed to signing up my email to the account, as that will be the basis of my Trello account. Now, it will ask you a bunch of questions at first about what you're going to be doing, but you can just skip these parts of the process. And then, as I will be explaining to you through this video, what we will be using Trello for. Trello is used, as you can see, also for multiple just to-dos, to-lists, etc., etc. So here it asks you to verify your email, and I have my email right up here, just to make this a bit smoother. So you just have to verify your email account just to make sure that Trello will start working. And here you have to enter your full name and just create a password. So I will create a password like so. Here. And then we just put continue. And here we can see once again that it's trying to advertise a lot of things, but you can just skip these for now. And I will show you how to get started. So here we go. So Trello will probably give you some sort of setup of boards that it has already created for you automatically. But first of all, the first things I would like you to do is to rename these boards, which will then go according to the board structure that I just showed you from my Trello board. So the first one will be to do. Then actually, I think it's easier if I just here will be in progress. Here will be blocked. And here will be done. So first of all, just get rid of these ones because they're not relevant for us. So first of all, what will happen on your Trello board is you must share your Trello board with your manager. So with the person you will be working with from both of us. And this happens, but this layout is slightly different depending on if you're using a Windows or a MacBook. So just depending on your computer, the layout is a bit different. However, at some point, there should be up here, a share button, which you have to click. And then you have to share with the member of both of us using their email address. Now, it's important that when you share the board, rather than just saying member, you also give them an admin right. But this will be done, first of all, you have to invite. So I will invite myself, which is hannah@BøthOfUs.org. There we go, and my name pops up here. So here, then you will share the Trello board with whoever is your partner from both of us, who is working with you closely. And from here, then you can change what kind of rights that person has on your Trello board. And you have to change it to admin so that your other person that you're sharing with can also edit your Trello board. So here we go, and it will become admin. And from my point of view, I will receive an email. And here we go, inviting me to join the board. And here we go, I can go to the board. So I will use this one. And there, now I have access to the Trello board through my other account. So now that you have shared access to the Trello board, which is the most important thing, we need to start using it. Now, this is where what I was referring to when I was taking you through the Scrum process. We have to make a sprint backlog. What has to be done during this specific sprint? So different kinds of tasks that I can give you, for example, would be evaluation of website. I will just brainstorm some tasks here just to give an idea of how it works. Set up weekly meeting and get through backlogged emails. So here at the start of every sprint session, your person from both of us, or you and also your team members, will evaluate what is to do. Now for here, then with Trello, it's a very easy board to use, so you can always vary which task has to be set up first or which takes the first priority that we agree on as a team. Now, within every single task, there will also be a description that has to be left of what does the task entail, and then also what is the estimated time of completion of the task. So you assign a given time, and then also definition of start and definition of done. So for example, for this task, evaluation of a website, I could leave something like, write me a simple report on your organization's website. This can be done in short bullet points. And then we need to set up how much the estimated time of completion will be. So the shortening for this is ETC, estimated time of completion. And this will be set up hopefully by your manager, but if your manager has just given you a task, then you as the worker have to give an estimation of how much time you will use on this task. Now, an important point is that one task should never take more than 3 hours. If a task is too big, it must be broken down into much smaller tasks, which makes it, again, much more doable, and so that the sprint can be realistically complete. So for this, I would prescribe that you use no more than 3 hours, which is the max that we can use for any given task. And then we use sometimes different types of acronyms. So for example, something called the definition of start. So how do you start the task? And then something else called the definition of done. So for this one, the definition of start could entail share a document where you will be compiling, bottom for the spelling, be compiling the reports. And definition of done is let your team know that the report is complete. Right. Still seems a bit of an intimidating task, but another function through Trello which we can use is something called checklists. And this you may have noticed earlier onwards. So then we can title of checklist, report, and then we can add here, add item. So for example, share document, go through all website sections, write what is good, write what needs to be updated, and write what can be improved. So this can set up a much more, breaking one task down, even though the tasks can only take up to 3 hours, a much more easier step-by-step process for your team members so that they know what has to be done. And as you go through the tasks and you get them done, you can check mark them off, which again shows you the progress of what you're making on any specific task. Now, another important part here to include is that if you are stuck on a task, for example, or the task description isn't clear and you're not so sure what you should be doing. Another thing about Trello, which is very nice, is you can write a comment on the side of a task and you can tag either another team member from your organization or somebody from both of us. And they will receive an email notification that you have left a comment for you specifically on the Trello board. So for here, for example, I can tag Hannah, the test, the account, so the person I'm assigning this task to, that this task will be assigned also to them. Or, for example, let's say that I have a comment saying, this is a very important task. Please get this done by the end of the week. So that's very good. And then when I save the comment, then it will come up in one's email that a comment has been left for you. And this is a way for us to do also the daily evaluations so that they don't necessarily have to be a daily meeting, but you have this moment of a bit of self-reflection, thinking, okay, I'm not really making progress on this task because I'm stuck on this thing or I have a question. And the most important thing is when you start any given task, always, always, always read the description. And if it's unclear, then email or tag your team leader or somebody, the team member or somebody from both of us, because it's much better to get feedback on a task or a clarification on a task before you start it, rather than doing a task wrong and then in hindsight realizing, oh no, this wasn't exactly what was required of me or what was asked from me. So then we start using the Trello board. So for example, this website evaluation parts. So once the task has been given, as you can see, it's over here. Once you are doing the task, you must move the task into in progress. So then this will again, once you've tagged certain members to it or, well, mentioned someone, they will also get an email notification that you have moved something on the Trello board. So then they are also on top of what's going on. And then doing this, like I said, your team members are also on top of what you're doing and what everybody else is doing. If a task is, for example, awaiting approval, so let's say that you have done this website evaluation and created the report, you've shared the document, you've done every single thing on this checklist, then what you can do is move the item either to done or blocked. For example, if the task says this has to be checked by your supervisor first before you can classify it as done. So then you would move the task over into blocked and eventually over into done. So this is, like I said, a very simple way of doing it, which follows also the Scrum process so that then you can keep track of everything that you are doing. Additionally, I believe that here you can also add members, as was saying here. So not only can you leave the comments for the members to then get an email that a comment has been left for you, but you can assign different members to this task. Now, I know this is a bit confusing because there's Hannah Tuckett and Hannah Tuckett, so both which are my name. But for example, if we assigned this one, which is the test account, which is the one that has made this now, is assigned to this process, then they will be the designated team member who is on this task. For example, for this one, we can set up the other account, which would be your manager, who is responsible, for example, for setting up a weekly meeting, just to check in or make sure that everything's going well and whatever else your team requires. So that is the basic structure of it. And just returning to my Trello board, my personal one, then at the end of the day, it will start looking a little bit like this. So you can, you have the backlog, what is in progress, which for me is making this video, for example, what is blocked, waiting for checks, for example, and what is done. And what is nice about the Trello board is also what you can do. You can create more other tabs for yourself, and whichever you want to or which your team wants to, whatever, it is always up to you. The most important is always to have these 4 ones here. Next, in my next video, I will be explaining you Toggle, which is an application that we use to keep time of these tasks, and that is linked very much to the Trello board. So I hope you found this video helpful, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.